You never forget the sound of genuine terror. It's not the kind you see in movies. I mean the real thing. The raw, silent, suffocating kind. It doesn't scream. It whispers, and it gets inside you, and it changes the composition of your soul. I know, because I heard it. I was there, had a front row seat to the complete and total unraveling of a human being. My name isn't important. They made sure of that. The NDA I signed could probably buy a small island nation. What they can't buy is my silence anymore. Not after what I saw. Not after what I heard in that house. This isn't a gossip story. This isn't about the conservatorship. Not really. This is about what was happening inside of it. Something else. Something darker that used the legal framework like a disguise. A cage within a cage. I was a security consultant. My firm was hired in early 2010 to do a threat assessment and upgrade the physical security at a property in Calabasas. The client was listed as a shell corporation, something vague like Swan Song Holdings, but we all knew. Everyone knew we were being sent to Britney Spears' house. My job wasn't glamorous. I wasn't a bodyguard. I was a tech. I ghost. My world was signal strength, camera blind spots, the quiet hum of server racks. I was good at it because I was forgettable. I could be in a room and people would talk right past me like I was part of the furniture. It's a useful skill. The initial meeting was at a law office in Century City. All dark wood and anxious energy. Her father, Jamie, was there. He didn't shake my hand, just gave me a once-over and a nod. He had this demeanor. Not like a concerned father, like a foreman assessing a piece of machinery. The lawyer, a woman with a smile that never reached. Her eyes did all the talking. Your firm comes highly recommended. Discretion is, of course, paramount. Miss Spears' safety is our highest concern. She has enthusiastic fans and a troubling history with intrusions. We need to ensure her environment is a sanctuary, a secure, controlled environment so she can focus on her recovery and her work. The words were right, but the delivery was all wrong. Sanctuary sounded like prison. Controlled environment sounded like quarantine. But the paycheck was astronomical, and the professional challenge was real. I pushed my unease down. This was the big leagues. This is what it took. The first time I went to the house to survey, it was exactly what you'd expect. A beautiful, sprawling Mediterranean villa behind a high gate. Sunshine, manicured lawns, but the air felt thick. Still, there were more people than there should have been. A stylist, a vocal coach, a fitness trainer, all moving with a hushed, purposeful efficiency. They didn't chat. They didn't laugh. Just performed their functions and left. And then there was her. I saw Britney from across the courtyard. She was being walked from the main house to the guest house, which had been converted into a dance studio. She was thin, too thin, wrapped in a cashmere hoodie despite the California heat. Her eyes, God, her eyes, they were the brightest blue I'd ever seen, but they were empty. Like someone had left the lights on in a house where nobody lived anymore. She looked right through me. It was just another piece of the furniture. Installing the system took a week. My job was to make it seamless, invisible. No bulky cameras, no obvious keypads. Everything was integrated, controlled from a single iPad that never left her father's hand or the hands of his security team. There was one guy. Let's call him Vince. He was my main point of contact. Its military, cold eyes, and a way of standing that always seemed to block a doorway. The weirdness started small. Quirks I wrote off as the eccentricities of the ultra-rich. The first thing was the mirrors. I was running cable in the master bathroom. Huge marble thing, and I noticed it. Every mirror in every room had a single, faint, greasy smudge right at eye level. It was deliberate. Someone had wiped something across them. I asked one of the housekeepers about it. The evil eye. He says it breaks the reflection, keeps the energy of mala from sticking. I laughed it off. Superstition. Then it was the music. Not her music. Other music. Ancient, crackly, big band music would sometimes drift from hidden speakers in the garden at our hours. 2 in the morning. I'd be testing infrared sensors on the perimeter wall, and I'd hear it. Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman. It was eerie. I asked Vince about it. The client finds it soothing. It's part of the therapeutic environment. Don't worry about it. But I did worry, because I saw her when it played. I was up a ladder, adjusting a camera angle on the guest house, and I had a perfect view into the dance studio. The music started that old, swinging rhythm, and she was in the middle of a routine with her choreographer, and she just stopped, frozen. Her face went slack, and then she began to move again. But it was all wrong. It wasn't Britney. It was like a bad imitation, jerky, stiff, a marionette with its strings tangled. Her eyes were wide open, unblinking, staring at her own reflection in the studio mirror. The choreographer took a step back, visibly uncomfortable. "Brit, you okay? You're off the beat. Take 5. She didn't respond. She just kept moving to that ghostly, unheard rhythm, her feet shuffling on the polished wood floor. A slow, sad, shuffling dance. It was the most unsettling thing I'd ever seen. The final straw was the iPad interface itself. I had to train Vince on the admin controls. The system was state-of-the-art. It could control everything: lights, thermostats, audio, locks, cameras. Every door and window in the house was on a magnetic lock system. One tap, and the entire house could be sealed shut. A fortress. I watched Vince's fingers navigate the screen. He wasn't just learning it. He was proficient. He'd used it before. And then I saw the labels he'd created for each room. Not master bedroom or kitchen. They were labeled primary containment, sanctuary, airlock, zone 4. My blood went cold. This wasn't security terminology. This was laboratory terminology. Containment. What were they containing? That's when I knew. Smudged mirrors, the creepy music, the vacant stares, the locked doors. This wasn't therapy. This wasn't protection. This was something else. They weren't guarding her from the outside world. They were performing a ritual, a slow, systematic erasure of Britney Spears. And they were building something new in the empty space she left behind. The night it happened. I was there late, finalizing the system handover. A storm had rolled in from the Pacific, and rain was lashing the windows. The house was mostly empty. Just me, Vince, in the security closet, and Britney upstairs in her room. The big band music was playing again, louder than usual, fighting against the sound of the wind. I was in the kitchen, packing my tools, when I heard it. A scream, but not a scream of fear. A scream of pure, unadulterated rage. It was raw and guttural, and it cut through the music like a knife. Then, silence. The music stopped abruptly. A second later, all the lights in the house went out, plunging everything into darkness. The emergency generators kicked in with a thud, casting a dim red glow from the exit signs. My training took over. A power failure. I grabbed my flashlight and headed for the security closet to check the backup systems. As I moved down the hallway, I saw a figure at the top of the stairs. Britney. She was standing perfectly still in the eerie red light, wearing a silk nightgown. Her hair was messy, her chest heaving, and in her hand, she held the iPad. She'd somehow gotten it from Vince. She looked down at me, and for the first time, her eyes weren't empty. They were blazing with a terrifying, lucid fury. She saw me, really saw me. He's not my father. Then she turned and ran down the opposite hallway. Towards the garage entrance, alarms started blaring. Vince, burst out of the security closet, his face a mask of fury. He had a split lip. She's out of containment. She has the primary control. Lock it down. Lock it all down. He didn't even look at me. He drew a taser from his hip and sprinted. After her, I followed. I don't know why. Maybe to help him. Maybe to help her. My heart was hammering against my ribs. This was all wrong. I got to the garage entrance just in time to see the horror unfold. It was a scene from a nightmare. Britney was frantically stabbing at the iPad screen, but the garage door, the massive, reinforced roll-up door, wasn't opening. Instead, with a series of heavy, mechanical thunks, every single internal door in the hallway leading to the garage slammed shut, one after another, sealing her in a narrowing tunnel. Vince had overridden her commands from his own device. She was trapped. She turned her back against the final door, the one that led to the outside world, to freedom, was still locked. Vince advanced on her, the taser held up, its two red aiming dots dancing on her chest. "It's okay, Britney. It's okay. You're confused. You're sick. I'm going to help you. Just give me the tablet." She was crying now, great heaving sobs that didn't make a sound. She looked from him to the locked door, to me standing, frozen in the hallway, and in that moment, I saw it. Not rage, not insanity, pure animal terror. The terror of a creature that knows it's been caught after a moment's hope. She knew. She knew exactly what this was. She looked right at me, her eyes pleading, and she mouthed two words, "Help me," and I did nothing. I was furniture. Vince took another step. Britney, with a final, desperate scream, threw the iPad at him, shattered against the wall. In that split second of distraction, she did the only thing she could. She turned to the final door, small, reinforced pedestrian door, next to the big garage door. It was locked, solid steel. She didn't try the handle. Okay. She just started beating against it with her bare hands. Thump, thump, thump. It wasn't an attempt to break it down. It was a primal act, a final physical rejection of her cage. Let me out. Vince was on her in a second. The taser prongs hit her in the back. There was a horrible crackling sound. Her body went rigid, and she collapsed to the concrete floor, like a sack of stones, twitching. The silence that followed was deafening. The only sound was the rain hitting the roof and the low, steady hum of the generators. Vince stood over her, breathing heavily. He nudged her still twitching leg with his boot. Then he looked up at me. His eyes were flat, dead. "Get the meds from the fridge in the security closet. The yellow vial. And a syringe." I just stared. I couldn't move. Now I ran. I didn't. Get the meds. I ran out the front door, into the rain-soaked night. I left my tools, my jacket, everything. I just ran. I drove home in a blind panic, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the wheel. I expected lawyers, police, something, but nothing ever came. No call, no letter. The next day, my boss called me. He said the client was extraordinarily pleased with our work and had paid the invoice in full with a massive bonus. His tone was light, but there was a warning underneath it. Silent understanding. Take the money and never speak of this again. I quit the firm a week later. I couldn't look at a security system without feeling sick. I moved states. I changed my number, but I couldn't escape the sound. The sound of her hands hitting that door. Thump, thump. It plays in my head every night. It's the sound of hope being extinguished. It's the sound of a person being unmade in front of you. I watch her now, sometimes, on Instagram. She's free. She dances in her kitchen. She's happy. I tell myself that, but sometimes I'll see a look in her eye, a flicker, a moment where she seems to look at something just past the camera. And her smile will get a little too wide, a little too fixed. And she'll do a move, a little shuffle. a jerky spin that doesn't quite fit the music she's dancing to. And I wonder if they ever really stopped what they started. I wonder if she ever really got out, or if the thing they were building in that house in Calabasas is what finally came out. And the real Britney, the one who looked at me with those terrified, pleading eyes, still in there somewhere, beating her hands against a door nobody else can see. That's the true horror. Not knowing what's real. Wondering if the person you see is the person who survived, or just a very, very good performance. A perfect, contained system, finally presented to the world. And the worst part? I was there. I saw it. I installed the locks, and I said nothing. They say, time heals all wounds. That's a lie. Some wounds just become part of you. Tate. They become a skeleton you carry around inside, and every so often, you feel the bones shift. A year after I left California, I got a parcel. No return address, postmarked from somewhere in the valley. Inside was a small, hard drive. No note. Just this thing. I almost threw it in the river. I should have. But that curiosity, that same stupid impulse that made me follow the sound of her scream, made me plug it in. It was footage, security footage from the Calabasas house, from my system, time-stamped for the months after I left. Most of it was nothing. Empty hallways, the garden, but there were clips. Edited together, a shot of her sitting perfectly still in a chair for 6 hours straight, not moving a muscle, while people moved around her. A shot of her in the studio, repeating a single, simple dance step for an entire afternoon. It's over and over and over, like a machine whose programming had glitched in the last clip. The one that made me physically vomit. It's a close-up on her face. She's looking right into the camera lens. She knows it's there. Her eyes are that empty blue again. Lights are on, but no one's home. And she's smiling. It's wide, plastic, perfect pageant smile. It doesn't touch her eyes, and she speaks. Her voice is a flat, melodic drone, like a child reciting a poem they've been forced to memorize. I am safe. I am happy. I am protected. I am grateful for my team. The system is for my good. The locks are for my safety. The music is for my peace. I am safe. I am happy. I'm protected. It loops for 12 minutes. That's the clip. 12 minutes of this mantra. It's reprogramming. I destroyed the drive, smashed it with a hammer, and buried the pieces in different locations. But I can't destroy the memory. I can't destroy the certainty that what I witnessed wasn't just a family exploiting a legal loophole. It was something else. Something with a methodology. A goal. They weren't just trying to control her money or her career. They were trying to control her, her mind, her soul. They were trying to erase the rebellious, fiery, luminous woman the world fell in love with and replace her with something docile, something manageable, a product, a perfect, smiling doll. And the most successful horror story ever written is the one where the monster wins and everyone in the world cheers for it, where the victim is paraded in front of us and we're told she's never been happier. And we celebrate her freedom while ignoring the deadness behind her eyes. We were all part of it. It's every time we clicked a headline, every time we shared a meme, every time we dismissed her as crazy, we were adding a brick to her wall. We were the audience for the performance. I was just the technician who installed the lights. So why am I telling you this now? Why break an NDA that would ruin me? Because she's free, right? The conservatorship is over. It's a feel-good story, a victory. But I don't believe it. I think some locks don't need a key. I think some doors, once they slam shut, stay shut forever. I'm telling you, because you need to look closer. When you watch her videos, I need you to really look. Not at the smile. Look at the eyes. Listen to the cadence of her voice. Is it her, or is it the thing they built in that house, finally rolled out for public display. I'm telling you, because the same machine that chewed her up and spat her out is still out there. It's still hungry. It needs new subjects, new projects, and it hides in plain sight in law offices and management companies and security firms, dressed in compassion and concern. I'm telling you because I was there, okay? And I need someone else to know. I need to put this fossilized skeleton of a memory down. I can't carry it alone anymore. The next time you see a celebrity unraveling in the public eye, the next time you see a story that feels a little too neat, a little too controlled, I need you to be skeptical. I need you to question the official story. Ask yourself, who benefits from the breakdown? Who stands to gain from the comeback? Ask yourself, what's happening just off camera? And maybe, just a maybe, if enough of us are watching closely enough, the next time someone tries to beat their hands against a door, begging to be let out, Somion will finally be there to listen.